church. When I talk about the church, it's not the building, it's the group of people who've come together to worship together. I was a little hesitant when I was asked to come and give this spoken video because I think there are so many more people who are such servants and who are so invested and involved in seeing the mission of this church carried out. Hi, I'm Libby Schlenke. My husband and I started attending Christ Church in November of 2014. We really both felt the call, and so when we left our other church, it was really important for us to find a church where we could be involved and be active. We both knew that God wanted us to be here. Christ Church is really big. We came from a much smaller church, and I realized that if I wanted to do things, that I needed to put myself out there. So after being here for a couple of weeks, I sort of sidled over to Pastor Brad, who's in charge of the music ministry, and said, "Do you need any help in the music ministry?" At a later time, I went to Robbie, who's in charge of the AMPT, which is the middle school ministry, and then I went to Jess Toy and asked her if there was any need in the MOPS group, which is now Raising Arrows. And in all of these arenas, they all said, yes, we would love to have some help. We did this study in our small group. It was Mark Batterson Whisper, and it talked about the languages of the Holy Spirit. It talked about how God often uses the things that we love and are passionate about to get us involved in the living organism that is the church. Sometimes you do something that you're very comfortable with. Being involved in the music ministry is it's like my heart and passion. And so that's just a real joy of my heart. But some things are hard. Being an advisor to middle school, I'm not the cool 20-year-old, and yet I've had to learn to lean into God to find a new way to interact and relate to the students that I come in contact with. The wonderful byproduct of being involved in service and ministry is the fact that you create around you a community. None of us can go through life without a community. When we serve with people and work with people, we share our lives and they share their lives, and so we create this family unit within the big unit. And so for me, the church has been this place where this has been able to take place because I'm surrounded by people who are also seeking God's will in their life. There's been a sense of being the hands and feet of God. When I went through my cancer treatment, which was I did cancer, chemo, COVID all at the same time, people who I had been working with here at church, I was able to reach out to them, and they were so supportive of me. And they came along beside me, sending me cards, praying for me, checking in on me, and making me the recipient of their work and their kindnesses. That was such a wonderful example to me of how the church also works, and that we put that time in to work with people, and then that just blossoms out into wonderful, wonderful things. And so Robbie said to me once, he was my sort of pastored me through cancer, if you don't say something, no one can help you. And I think that's also true with volunteering. No one can read your mind, and it's really important if you feel this sense that, oh, I would like to be involved here. Maybe find someone to tell or send a note or whatever. But I think something else that's really important when we think about volunteering, there's ebbs and flows in life, and sometimes in our lives we have time, and then there's times in our lives we don't have time, like when I was raising my children and I was working my job and caring for aging parents and medical issues. And there are times where I had to back off. It wasn't that I wasn't doing God's work, it just looked different. So sometimes when we have an ebb in our life, there's somebody else who is really able to step in because they have the time and the energy. It's okay that if there were times in my life I couldn't do all the things, as long as God was in the middle of everything, that was what was important. Just like I talked about seasons and ebb and flow, we don't know where God is taking us next, but I think what I've learned is that God is always faithful, and God has walked with me through all of these opportunities, and that's not going to stop as I continue on.